Welcome to Module 3, Household Composition. In this presentation, we will cover the following topics: medical assistant units, multiple medical assistant unit scenarios, and available resources. Medical assistant units. A medical assistant unit includes all the individuals when determining an applicant's eligibility for Washington Apple Health Medicaid. When applying for Apple Health, applicants should include everyone in their household in addition to any tax filers and tax dependents. This includes married co-parents, spouses, siblings, and children. Each individual will have their own medical assistant unit and may have different eligibility results than other individuals on the same application. If a married couple resides together, they are included in each other's medical assistant unit regardless of their tax filing status. The countable income used to determine an individual's eligibility is the sum of the countable income of everyone in the medical assistant unit. Medical assistant units are based on tax filing status, relationship, and age. The tax filing category must first be determined for each individual applying for coverage. Each individual will fall into one of the three tax filing categories: tax filer, tax dependent, or non-filer. However, some tax dependents are considered non-filers when determining eligibility for Apple Health. An individual's tax filing status is what they expect their tax filing status will be. Make sure to update Washington Healthplanfinder with what the individuals are reporting as their expected tax filing status. If they are not sure, they are considered non-filers. Now, let's review the tax filing status categories. What is a tax filer? A tax filer is an individual who expects to file a federal income tax return and not be claimed as a tax dependent by someone else. A medical assistant unit of a tax filer includes the tax filer, their spouse if living with them, and all individuals they expect to claim as a tax dependent, even if the tax dependent does not live with them. What is a tax dependent? A tax dependent is an individual who expects to be claimed by a tax filer, unless the tax dependent is neither the spouse or the child of the tax filer, is a child under age 19 who resides with both parents and those parents do not file a joint tax return, or expects to be claimed by a non-custodian parent. If they meet one of these exceptions, the tax dependent is treated as a non-filer. See slide 11 of this presentation to see how a non-filer medical assistant unit is established. The medical assistant unit of a tax dependent is the same as the tax filer who claims them. This includes the tax filer, their spouse if living with them, and all individuals they expect to claim as a tax dependent, even when the tax dependent does not live with the tax filer. What is a non-filer? A non-filer is an individual who does not expect to file taxes, does not expect to be claimed as a tax dependent, or is an individual who meets the tax dependent exceptions. The medical assistant unit of a non-filer includes the non-filer, their spouse if living together, their children under age 19 if living with a non-filer, and if the applicant is under age 19, their parents and siblings under age 19 who live in the same household. Here is a summary of all of available tax filing status in Washington Healthplanfinder and how they correspond to the categories we just reviewed. Now, let's take what we have just learned and look at the following scenarios. In each scenario, We will review the individual's medical assistant unit and their eligibility for Apple Health. Scenario 1. Jay applies for himself, his wife Ashley, and their 2 children, Paul, age 8, and Emma, age 6. Jay and Ashley plan to file a joint return, claiming both their children as tax dependents. Jay and Ashley's income is from employment, and Paul and Emma report dividend income. Here is the application details. Take a moment to review this slide. As you can see, Paul and Emma report monthly dividend income of $500 each. Therefore, their income will be countable since it meets the tax filing threshold. Let's review this scenario. Jay and Ashley are tax filers, so tax filer rules apply to them. Tax-dependent rules apply to Paul and Emma because they are tax-dependent and do not meet any of the tax-dependent exceptions. In this case, the household income of $3,500 is counted for each medical assistant unit. Here are the results for scenario 1. As you can see in this table, the entire family is included in each medical assistant unit. Jay and Ashley are not eligible for Apple Health due to their income, and Paul and Emma qualify for Apple Health for Kids. Scenario 2. Juan applies for himself, his wife Maria, and their 2 children, Roberto, age 2, and Lisa, age 3. No one expects to file taxes, and no one is claimed as a tax dependent. Juan and Maria's income is from employment, and Roberto and Lisa reports dividend income. Here is the application details. Take a moment to review this slide. As you can see, Roberto and Lisa report monthly dividend income of $500 each. Therefore, their income will be countable since it meets the tax filing threshold. Let's review this scenario. Non-filer rules apply in this scenario to each person since no one is a tax filer or dependent. The medical assistant unit for each family member is the same. Here are the results for scenario 2. As you can see in this table, the entire family is included in each medical assistant unit. Juan and Maria are not eligible for Apple Health due to their income, and Roberto and Lisa qualify for Apple Health for Kids. Scenario 3. Carol, age 60, applies for herself and her grandson Cody, age 12. She states that she will file taxes and claim her grandson as a dependent. Carol receives Social Security disability. Cody receives per capita distributions from gaming. Here is the application details. Take a moment to review this slide. As you can see, Cody receives a $600 monthly per capita distributions from gaming. Therefore, his income will be countable since it meets the tax filing threshold. Let's review this scenario. Since Cody is a tax dependent who is claimed by his grandma, the non-filer rules apply to him. His medical assistant unit is himself and only his income is countable. The medical assistant unit for Carol includes herself and her grandson because tax filer rules apply. Here are the results for scenario 3. As you can see in this table, the included individual for each medical assistant unit is different. Both Carol and Cody are eligible for Apple Health. Scenario 4. Nick lives with his son Alex, age 14, his girlfriend Sherry, and their daughter in common, Joan, age 1. Nick applies for himself and Alex. Nick doesn't expect to file taxes or be claimed as a tax dependent. Alex had income earlier in the year and he will have to file taxes. Sherry applies for herself and Joan. Sherry is a tax filer and plans to claim Joan and Alex as her dependents. Nick, Sherry, and Alex receive income from employment. Here are the details for Nick's application. Take a moment to review this slide. As you can see, Alex earns $600 per month. Therefore, his income is countable and it is included in the application. Here are the details for Sherry's application. Take a moment to review this slide. As you can see, Alex and Nick are included in the application even though they are unrelated to Sherry. Alex is included because he is a tax dependent of Sherry and John's sibling. Let's review this scenario. Since Nick is a non-filer, his medical assistant unit includes himself and his 2 children. Sherry is a tax filer. Her medical assistant unit includes herself and her 2 tax dependents. Both Alex and John are treated as non-filers because they both meet an exception to the tax dependent rule. Alex is neither the spouse or the child of the tax filer, Sherry. And John is a child under age 19 who resides with both parents, and those parents do not file a joint tax return. Here are the results for scenario 4. As you can see in this table, only Nick and Alex are eligible for Apple Health. Scenario 5. Sarah, age 19, applies for herself and her brother John, age 9. She states that she is a tax filer and will claim John as her dependent. Sarah is pregnant and is expecting twins. She earns $3,000 from her job. John receives $200 of Social Security income. Here is the application details. Take a moment to review this slide. Let's review this scenario. Since Sarah is a tax filer, her medical assistant unit includes herself, her brother, who is her tax dependent, and her unborn twins. John is a tax dependent who is claimed by a person who is not his parent or spouse. He is treated as a non-filer, and he has a medical assistant unit of 1. Here are the results for scenario 5. As you can see in this table, the included individual for each medical assistant unit is different. Sarah's medical assistant unit includes herself, her unborn twins, and John. She is eligible for Apple Health Pregnancy Medical. John is eligible for Apple Health for Kids. Something to remember is that even though John receives $200 of Social Security, this income is not countable in the application. Scenario 6. Jim and Jill are divorced with a child in common, Kyle, age 6, who lives with Jill but is claimed as a tax dependent by Jim. Jill is a tax filer and applies for herself and Kyle. Jim, who lives in a different town, applies separately for himself. Him and Jill receive income from employment. Here is the application details for Jim. Take a moment to review this slide. As you can see, Kyle is included in Jim's application even though he doesn't live with him. Here is the application details for Jill. Take a moment to review this slide. Let's review this scenario. Even though Kyle does not live with Jim, he will still be included in Jim's medical assistant unit since Kyle is Jim's tax dependent. Jill is also a tax filer and her medical assistant unit will include herself but not her son as he is being claimed by Jim, who lives outside the home. Her income is over the limit. Kyle is a tax dependent who is claimed by a non-custodial parent, so non-filer rules apply to him. Under non-filer rules, an individual under age 19 includes his parents and his medical assistant unit if living with them. Here are the results for scenario 6. As you can see in this table, Jim is eligible for Apple Health for adults and Kyle is eligible for Apple Health for kids. Scenario 7. Now let's look at the same family, but with one important change. Jill doesn't file a tax return. Jim and Jill are divorced with a child in common, Kyle, who lives with Jill but is claimed as a tax dependent by Jim. Jill does not expect to file taxes and applies for herself and Kyle. Jim and Jill receive income from employment. Here is the application details. Take a moment to review this slide. Let's review this scenario. Jill's eligibility has changed. Since Jill is a non-filer and is not claimed by another person, non-filer rules apply. She has a medical assistant unit of 2, which includes her and her son Kyle. Jill is eligible for Apple Health for adults. Here are the results for scenario 7. As you can see in this table, Jim and Jill are eligible for Apple Health for adults, and Kyle is eligible for Apple Health for kids. Scenario 8. Natalia, age 45, lives with her daughter Catalina, age 20, and Catalina's daughter Mia, age 1. Natalia filed taxes and claims both her daughter Catalina and her granddaughter Mia. Natalia applies for herself. Catalina applies for herself and Mia. Natalia and Catalina both receive income from employment. Here is the application details. Take a moment to review Natalia's application. Here is Catalina's application details. Take a moment to review it. As you can see, Catalina includes Natalia in her application. Let's review this scenario. Since Natalia is a tax filer rules apply. Her medical assistant unit includes herself and her 2 tax dependents, Catalina and Mia. Catalina is a tax dependent and does not meet any of the exceptions, so her medical assistant unit is exactly like the tax filer claiming her. Catalina, Natalia, and Mia. Mia is a tax dependent claimed by Natalia. Since Natalia is not her parent, non-filer rules apply to Mia. Her medical assistant unit includes her mother, Catalina, and herself. Here are the results for scenario 8. As you can see in this table, Natalia and Catalina are not eligible, and Mia is eligible for Apple Health for kids. Scenario 9. Carlos applies for himself, his spouse Sebastian, and their friend's child Anna, age 17, who they have guardianship over. Carlos and Sebastian file jointly and claim Anna and their son Rafael, age 21, who is away at college as tax dependents. Rafael applies on his own. Anna had other income in the year and she must file taxes. Carlos is self-employed. Sebastian and Anna receive income from employment. Here are the application details for Carlos. Take a moment to review this slide. As you can see, Rafael is not living at home, but she is included in the application as a tax dependent. Here are the application details for Rafael. Take a moment to review this slide. As you can see, Rafael must include his parent and their tax dependent on this application. Let's review this scenario. Carlos and Sebastian are tax filers claiming Rafael and Anna as tax dependents. Their medical assistant units include themselves, their spouse, and both dependents. Income of everyone is counted. Rafael is away at college, and his parents expect to claim him. He is a tax dependent and does not meet any of the exceptions, so his medical assistant unit is the same as the tax filer claiming him. Rafael, his parents, and Anna. For Anna, the non-filer rules apply, as she is being claimed by someone other than a spouse or parent. Her medical assistant unit includes only herself and her income counts. Here are the results for Scenario 9. As you can see in this table, all of them are eligible for Apple Health. Resources. For more resources and training materials regarding Apple Health Medicaid, please click the link under Healthcare Authority Training and Education. For community partners, Healthcare Authority has made available a team of eligibility policy representatives to provide assistance for questions regarding Medicaid eligibility and assistance with Washington Apple Health applications. These representatives serve specific counties. For more information about the Washington Volunteer Assister Program, please contact us via email at hcavolunteerassistor@hca.wa.gov. Congratulations! You have completed Module 3 of the Healthcare Authority Community-Based Training. Please continue on to Module 4 of the 7-module Healthcare Authority Community-Based Training. Thank you.